So our first speaker is Dr. Allison Miller, who is a faculty at the School of Public Health in the Department of Health Behavior and Health Education. I'd like to share with you a few names of some of her research projects just to whet your appetite for her talk. Some of her research projects go by the names of co-parenting, family food talk, mom power, child mealtime behaviors. And if you want to learn more from Allison, I encourage you to follow her on Twitter. And her talk is, her favorite food is chocolate, particularly the European truffles. And her talk is called, But I Want the Cookie, Eating and Self-Regulation in Toddlers. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for inviting and for a great introduction. And I think this is a fabulous event. I will get started on my 5 minutes. So I'm a developmental psychologist, so you hear that in a lot of my sort of project and talk titles. And I study eating and self-regulation in toddlers, along with others. So I think we all know that we kind of want the cookie. And right now, we really kind of probably want that dinner, but we will wait. And one of the reasons we will wait is that we have self-regulation. So we talk about this a lot in psychology and adults around how do we stop ourselves from eating the cookie? So we sort of control our thoughts, our actions, and our behaviors, and even our emotions that in a way that we can sort of stop ourselves from eating the cookie, or whatever it is, the European truffles. So in adults, we talk about self-regulation, sort of quote-unquote failures as leading to obesogenic eating behavior. And by that I mean obesogenic eating behaviors that are, or eating behaviors that are over time can lead to obesity. So these are things like eating when we're not hungry, eating when we're under stress. When we do these behaviors, we tend to consume foods that are more high in sort of sugar, fat, and salt, and all that really good tasting stuff. And really what they have learned from sort of animal literature is that these foods are biologically calming to our physiology and our biology, and over time associate with weight gain. So why are we interested in looking at this in kids? Reason number one, we all know childhood obesity is a big problem. It emerges early, so kids, even as young as age 2, but certainly age 5, are showing very high rates of obesity. This persists over time, so if you're obese by kindergarten, you're very likely to remain that way, and once you're obese in 8th grade, you're more likely to be obese as an adult. And also, I always study kids who are living in poverty and have experienced adversity, and so obesity rates are much higher among kids living in poverty. Reason number 2 is that self-regulation, so that ability to sort of control your thoughts, actions, and feelings and behaviors, really develops rapidly over the first few years of life. Comfort foods, I like this picture because it shows that comfort foods are sort of relatively accessible to kids, but not immediately accessible, and that's where the parenting stuff comes in as well. They're often requested. If anybody has interacted with young children around wanting a cookie, we know the thing called food tantrums, so that's a lot about what I study. Like I said, there's this sort of rapid increase in the ability to voluntarily control your thoughts, actions, and behaviors from 1 to 3 years of age. And the sort of difficulties in these areas in self-regulation are associated with overweight in kids who are a little bit older. So I'll talk about our toddler study for a minute. We looked at these obesogenic eating, self-regulation, and weight in low-income toddlers, about just over 200 of them, from 21 to 33 months of age. So longitudinally, we followed these kids over time. And this is what we did. I know these foods are sort of horrible. But we looked at eating in the absence of hunger. So these kids ate a full lunch. Then they were exposed to, by our lovely research assistants, these palatable foods. And they were allowed to eat these foods for 10 minutes. We videotaped them, we coded sort of their behaviors, what they did in response to the food. We also obsessively weighed how much food they ate, so the research assistants were kind of scraping crumbs off the high chair kind of thing. Okay, so what we found, EAH, eating in the absence of hunger, was associated, well, it increased over time, and you can see the blue bar is the youngest kids, the green bar is the older kids. So over time they ate more food, but particularly the sweet food, their salty food consumption remained flat. As well, we coded their delight upon presentation of the food, which is the smiling girl, and that increased over time. But the sort of negative food tantrums upon food removal did not increase over time. And even more, the kids who ate more of the sweet food were heavier across time. The kids who had those food tantrums were also heavier over time. Then what we did was we looked to see, okay, well, is this food or is this about like just behavior control, impulse control? So we had kids wait to open a gift, and they waited to have a snack at 33 months of age, so again, under age 3. And their inability to wait for snack, but not inability to wait for a gift, was associated with greater weight, again, under age 3. So, parting thoughts in the last 30 seconds. Prior to age 3, eating behavior of this obesogenic nature is associated with weight, higher weight. Food, we think, may pose a sort of unique self-regulation challenge. It may be a specific domain that we have to think about in young kids. And again, I'm a psychologist. Eating and self-regulation are both very influenced by biology and by environment and by parenting and all kinds of things that we study. Super fun. But there's big intervention implications for that. And that's it. Thank you.